Oh, that's.
Here we are.
Our minions. The minions. And you can't.
We've seen Inside Out.
Have not.
With the elections. It's. Now there's a new one coming out. Very, if I have access to this reason, we would be seeing it a lot.
Yeah, he's just later in the agenda, even then not.
Awesome. No problem. Right. I'm sure if you had any comments, we'd have gotten them.
Because
So,
it's
all costs.
okay.
We're ready to go. Yeah, we're ready to go.
We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order, please.
Daniel, Susan?
Okay, thank you. Appreciate everybody's attendance. If we could start with a roll call, please.
Director Salmon. Director Salmon.
You're here. Hi.
Director Mirage.
I'm here.
Director Leach.
Here.
Director Stanislav. Director Jeff. Here. Thank you.
And then they're gonna.
We have a forum. We'll go ahead and start with the pledge. Okay, ready to begin?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve the agenda? So moved.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Seeing none?
Director Jeffries. Aye. Director Stanislav.
Aye.
Director Leach.
Aye.
Director Mirage.
Aye.
Director Salmon.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna start out the meeting with a presentation. We have some people here for Reigns. I heard you do it.
Yeah. When you're ready to begin.
It looks kind of funny.
Yeah, it did. That one came out weird.
Okay, well, I hope the rest of them do.
They do, they're fine.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. I am Caitlin Seward, the Executive Director of Reigns Therapeutic Horsemanship Program. Just a little bit about myself. I grew up at Reigns, started there when I was 11. Been there for close to 30 years now, following in Debbie's footsteps and learning. I wanted to talk to you a little bit today about our mental health programs specifically because we have launched that January of 2023. Great success with it. So I want to share all of that with you. So let's go ahead and change the slide. So just Reigns Therapeutic Horsemanship Program serves about 200 weekly students with our mounted therapeutic riding program. It was founded in 1984, and we currently operate on a budget about 1.4 million. And that has, increased dramatically over the last 20 years. We moved to Fallbrook originally in 1997, yes. And we have landed at our home spot down on South Mission, 1999. We offer a volunteer program that has about 120 weekly volunteers. We take volunteers 12 years and older. No horse experience is necessary. Anybody can come down. So if you're willing and you want to, come on down. And let's move on to the next slide. So specifically, these are, I'm sorry about the slides. They're not sized to the TV. Specifically, the Reigns of Valor program services mental health services for veterans, active duty military, foster and displaced youth, and those with trauma. We offer 3 different programs, which I'll go over later on in the slideshow. So why is mental health with a horse so important? There's a lot of different reasons why this works, but a few of them are, there's a sense of peace when you're around animals, and that's a proven fact. The horse reflects the energy that the participant brings to the table, and I'll go into some experiences later on about that. the defensive barriers that people with trauma naturally have to guard themselves come down when they're around an animal that brings that same peace. And the acceptance of the horse to trust the participant, that is like winning a medal. When a horse finally turns to you and gives you their trust and accepts you into their herd, that means that they are trusting you with their life. Being vulnerable allows us to be vulnerable with them. So horses are in a restful state of hypervigilance at all times. And this is a really dynamic sentence, because how many of you guys can be hypervigilant and restful at the same time?
Oh, every day.
Yeah. Okay, well, Rachel might be the only one here. But horses do that all the time.
Is that the natural biological makeup of the horse because it's designed that way?
It's because of their instincts.
If they're
So horses are a flight animal.
Okay.
So they're always aware of what's going on around them because it's their survival. So when they are grazing, they can see with their eyes except from right directly in front of them and right directly behind them, they can see all around them. So they always know what's happening. And if they don't, their herd mates do. So when horses travel in herds, because that's where their safety is.
Thank you.
So instincts of a horse, they're flight animals, they're hypervigilant and hypersensitive, and they don't trust very easily. They want to make sure that they're going to live through the next experience, right? So somebody with post-traumatic stress, that's what they're dealing with as well. They have a startle response. They're also hypervigilant. They're also very hypersensitive to their surroundings. And they will likely not tell you why they have post-traumatic stress. Next slide. So we started this program actually in 2017 with the VA in Escondido. They came out, they would bring groups for social outings. It wasn't considered a therapy session. And we saw great success with that. Unfortunately, in 2020, COVID knocked the knees right out from under us. Nothing could take place during that time. But we started up again in 2022 by offering pilot programs for the VA specifically. And they have an equine curriculum that they use called equanimity. And we did 3 pilot sessions. Those were 16 weeks apiece. And that was to see if we were ready to take this leap. And we were. So in 2023, we did the official launch of Brains of Valor so that we could expand the programming. Once we saw the effectiveness of the equanimity program and that we could actually do this without taxing our financial means for our therapeutic riding program and putting that at risk, we decided we were ready to go. So, okay, so this is where it can get a little bit confusing, but we have 3 different programs that we offer, all under the Brains of Valor umbrella. We have, all of these programs are free of charge. We really would like to keep the barriers to therapy down. Rains really believes in not passing on that cost to their clients. So we have equine assisted psychotherapy, and that dynamic is with a licensed clinical or a licensed therapist, mental health professional. You have an equine specialist, which is RAIN staff, the horse and the participant. And those sessions, there's 12 weeks of sessions for free. And what they get out of the psychological program is a safety plan, which typically these people do need that in order to get through a day. They also come out with their foot in the door to the next therapist that they're going to see. So they have a care plan that's going with them. And that appointment is already set up before they're done with the sessions at RAINS. So that there's a smooth transition. We know the continuity of care is going to continue on. And those are usually individual sessions. We have equine assisted learning sessions, and Barbara, you were down there when we had Reigns of Valor going on with the Marines.
It was impressive.
Thank you. Yeah, that can take place in a group setting and one-on-one. Typically that is with a equine specialist, one of our Reigns staff, and the horse and the participant. We have a standard 8-week curriculum that we follow, and it's working on skills like healthy boundaries, clear communication, self-regulation, those sort of things. So it focuses more on what the participant brings to the session and how the horse is reacting. More than it talks about, more than like the trauma-focused work that might happen in the psychological or psychotherapy sessions. Does that make sense? Often people get those two mixed up, so just want to be really clear about that. Our youth-based programs, we partner with an organization called Mustard Seed Ranch. And she brings in foster and displaced youth from this area. She's coordinating with a lot of different care homes and foster parents directly. And those participants are done in a group. So it's usually 4 people to a group, 4 youth. So they treat 12 to 24. So it bridges the gap out of foster care. And then those sessions take place once a week for 16 weeks. And that is with a therapist, a equine specialist, and the horse, and the participants. Any questions about those 3 things? Okay, then I'm doing good. All right. Okay, let's move on to the next. Okay, so this is just a quick overview of what a session looks like. They're gonna check in with a therapist, do a safety brief. They're gonna choose their horse. They have some control over the dynamic that's happening. And then they're gonna address the current challenge that they're having that day. It can be anything. It can be a trigger that happened. It can be that they're doing great. It doesn't really matter what that might be. It just is specific to the participant. And then they're gonna work on a skill for coping with whatever that challenge might be. Okay, so this is an example I wanted to talk to you guys about. So this is a pretty clear example. So you have, I'm gonna say a Marine diagnosed with PTSD. For this example, I'm gonna say it's a man. And he's quick to anger. He's always vigilant, doesn't sleep at night, works himself to the bones. He's very anxious when he comes in. Say his spouse said, you're gonna go in and do this, right? He goes into the arena with the horse and he's just already kind of on edge, right? The horse takes off. Horse doesn't want to be around that. Horse can't survive in that environment, right? So right then, the therapist will step in and say, okay, well, what did you notice? Well, the horse took off. He doesn't like me. And the therapist might say, okay, well, here, we're gonna start grounding. I want you to close your eyes. You're gonna envision, your feet in the ground. You're gonna count to 10. You're gonna open your eyes and the horse has stopped moving. This is all very true. This is valid. The horse stops moving and looks at him. And she asks him, what did you notice? Well, he stopped. Well, why do you think that happened? And they're gonna say, I don't know, because well, that's what they all say. But they know, right? And so that starts the conversation that needs to be had. So later that night, he goes home. He and his wife are getting in a fight. She goes in the room, slams the door, and he sees the horse. And he goes, oh, there's the trigger right there, right? So then he can implement that coping mechanism that he learned. He can think about what the therapist said to him, and he can apply it to his life directly. Make sense?
Yep.
It's easier to see it in the horse than it is in our own selves, and I speak from experience. Okay, next slide. Okay, so a session for the equine assisted learning. This is an overview. They're gonna check in with their instructor. They're gonna work on a specific, or pick a horse, go over the safety, work on a specific skill that is in the 8-week curriculum. And then they're gonna check in at the end and make sure everything's going well. And if at any point during these 8-week sessions, that person shows any kind of suicide ideations or any kind of high-risk behavior, we refer them right over to the therapist that works with us. So we have a safety plan in place for that. Next slide. And this is just a quick research study that was done, or that was cited in the Military Medical Research Journal. So there is a lot of research to back this. And that's one of our future goals, maybe, I don't know, 3 to 5 years down the road, I'd like to be part of this research. Next slide. Okay, the youth-based programming, I already pretty much went into what it encompasses, but our future goals to work with the school districts here in town and in Bonsall. Possibly Camp Pendleton, and then I'd like to start some summer programs, maybe bring in the family unit as well. So that's kind of where we're gonna go once we get our feet, really solid into these programs that we've just launched. So the benefits of Reins of Valor for our military and veterans, this is really important. We don't have any tie to the military. And this is also an unexpected benefit that I don't have to answer to the military. So their jobs aren't at stake. Their fellow Marines don't have to know that they're going to therapy. I don't have to report anything. I do take attendance, and that's mostly for our own accounting purposes. But say, CO called me and said, hey, I gotta find out where this person's been. I can say, well, they were scheduled for a medical appointment. And that's all I have to tell them. There's nothing there. So it's been a really great benefit for those that have come into this program. They can get excused from work because they have a medical appointment to come to Reins and do this. So it takes some of the challenge out of scheduling. So it's a really good thing for that. And then we've had a lot of commanding officers and higher ranking individuals come down and participate. And they see that buy-in as a proactive approach to this impending trauma that's going to happen with our military. So they want to start giving resources to these guys, these men and women before the trauma happens. And that's what they see as this program being, because it's very focused in working together as a team. It's focused in that support network. It's focused in finding resources and also looking inside of ourselves in a non-biased environment. Next slide. So our future vision would be to grow this program, get into some research with it. I'd love to raise the funds to offset the scholarships for this, because we don't charge for this service, because we don't want to have that barrier. That's our biggest ask right now, is scholarships for this program. The data collection has already started and will continue to, so that we can give back for that research, the validity and all the effectiveness of our programs. And I think that's the last slide. Woohoo, did it. I did a quick video. It's just a short little blurb. If you came to the hoedown, you might have seen it, but I'll let that do the talking. Thank you again for having me. So because you guys decided to take a leap with us last year and give us some funding towards this, we couldn't go without you. So thank you for being willing to support and take a leap.
Are you able to take some questions?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
She's like, that's the easy part.
Are there other programs in the United States like this?
Yes, yeah, there are. They're starting to pop up everywhere, which is great because we know the need is greater than what we can do on our own. That's why the research is also blossoming as well. There's a few at different universities, Colorado State University, University of Tennessee, Murfreesboro, and then Florida. Can't remember which one in Florida, but they all have ongoing studies in this. And the University of Columbia developed a whole curriculum for it.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Is there a sharing of best practices amongst the groups in
Oh,
terms
yes.
of how?
Yeah, there's a couple different organizations. We're part of PATH International. We're a premier accredited center. So that's one association that I've actually volunteered for about 10 years myself in the leadership role there. And it's all about sharing the best practices. And then I just recently got involved with Horses and Humans Research Foundation, which is a really cool organization that's all about research with horses and people. So it's mental health, it's the physical side, there's all kinds of different things going on there. So a lot of talk is happening. Yeah.
Two questions or observations. Thank you so much. CSUSM is a veteran-friendly campus,
Mhm.
and we have a veteran center there.
Nice.
On this research that you want to start doing, if you're interested, I'd be happy to help make a connection with the psychology professors and their undergraduate research initiative. I am sure there are students who would love to collaborate with you and move that forward perhaps more quickly than normal.
Let me just give
So
you
that's-
for that.
Okay, very good. And the other connection I would like to make is thank you for taking foster youth, former foster youth have aged out. Because the statistics for foster youth that age out and fall, the homelessness and the drug addiction is so high.
It's rough.
And I will also say we have program ACEs at CSUSM. If your older foster youth don't know about it, please tell them it's a foster youth centric program
That's
to help them
great.
get started and complete their
Okay.
degree. And we have a really high rate of completion.
That's
So
great. I
there's
didn't know about that.
There's a thing.
Yeah,
So, okay.
okay. Anybody else? Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If I might,
Yeah, absolutely.
just a little bit of history. I think it was about 1998, the Reigns was one of the first, programs that the district, provided grant support to. It was fairly significant at the time. And I know we I think the board sort of scratched their heads as to, we always want to see the healthcare nexus. And there was kind of initially in its infancy, there was sort of a concern about that. But it also reminds me of a program that was started about 45 years ago by a lady called Eileen Goldman. And I don't know if you guys know who she is, but she was a very influential person that brought to the district at the time when the district had the hospital, a program called hospice. And nobody had ever heard of hospice at that point. And she was like this, really a great promoter of that. And now it's just a way of life. So it's really amazing how these programs develop and become a really important part of our lives.
It really is, and the network here in Fallbrook with the community is key. You saw we partnered with several different organizations, and that's why, because we can't do it by ourselves, right? We have to help each other out, and the foundation has been hugely supportive of Reigns for so many years. So we wouldn't be here, honestly, without you guys.
Great. Well, we appreciate you coming out. It was nice to see the presentation. I think it's an amazing program, and I think that the science is definitely is out on that.
Yeah.
We look forward to seeing more research and, hopefully continuing to partner with you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything from the Mr. Out, I'll entertain a question or two. No?
What did you
Okay.
say your annual budget was?
It's around 1.4, right?
Right, thank you. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to item D. We have public comments. Do we have any cards turned in or?
No
Anybody
cards
online?
were actually turned in, so unless anyone.
Anybody? Going once? Okay. We'll go ahead and we'll move on to consent items. If you decide that you have a public comment on an agenda item, just go ahead and let me know, when we get to that point, and I'll give you some time to talk. Can I have a motion to approve the consent items?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion or, anything on any of those? Seeing none?
Director Leach,
Aye.
Director Maraz,
Aye.
Director Salmon,
Aye.
Director Stanisek.
Aye.
Director Jeffrey.
Aye.
Thank you.
We have a couple of discussion and possible action items. We'll start with F1, site logic. We have a change order here. Rachel, would you like to present?
Actually, I will punt it to our facilities chair if you want to talk about that, or if you want me to.
Got it.
Okay.
So Barbara and I had the pleasure of being together for the facilities committee. And Rachel briefed us on this change order and the rationale for it. We all knew that as they explored that site, there would inevitably be something that we find that we would need to bring back to the board. And indeed, we have that tonight, and it has to do with our ADA compliance, which is for health district pretty important. So Rachel, I'll boot it to you now to begin the presentation. And Barbara and I are recommending to our colleagues that we approve the change order.
So we do have our representatives from Site Logic here to walk through it. There are a couple of things really of note. Really, it was a matter of discovery of some particular items. That's how I put it. Okay, so we'll go through that as we find out. And basically what the crux of the matter, and then I'll have Josh be able to talk to it much more cogently than me, which was the ADA path of travel is a requirement for this project. As a board, obviously, you've already said the ADA compliance was a strategic priority. The wellness center parking lot, which is where we anticipated the biggest challenges, turned out to be not quite as challenging as the admin parking lot. And that's where we're finding the biggest challenge, and that has to do with the slope, especially the path of travel leading from the parking lot into the building. The particular rock statue that's right out in front, while it's lovely, it's immediately in the way of an ADA path of travel, and that was not really something that we had foreseen when we first initially talked about the project. Other than that, I would rather turn it over to Josh and have him walk you through this so that you have the details, if you're more amenable to that.
Excellent.
Yeah. So Josh, I'll kick over to you.
Perfect.
Thanks for coming out
I'm
again.
gonna try to do what she did and just have my back and not see slides, so that was great. What I did, it's good evening, directors, appreciate allowing me to be here tonight. Don't know if you know our project manager, Greg Olson. Greg's been working on this, so he's gonna help answer some technical questions regarding the wellness center here. Go to the next slide. But real briefly, we'll give a quick project update, don't wanna just come in and walk away with one topic, so. Then we'll talk about what those expenditures are and requirements between the both sites and those costs. Next slide. So first update, 90% drawings have been submitted. Interconnection applications have been fully submitted to the utility, and still being grandfathered in on those programs. The architect of record, which we can point a finger to him on the requirements, but we did get that information back. So again, we'll talk about the ADA requirements per the Wellness Center Administration Office. So that's what's coming. What else is coming here? Week of June 17th, we should have them 100% design as long as the board decides to move forward tonight. We're looking forward to submit to county for approval week of June 28th, and then however long that process takes within the county, I left it as a to be determined. Once we know we're good to go, we're ready to now submit for procurement of steel and solar. Originally, when we had our public hearing, talked about maybe doing a groundbreaking ceremony within a couple months. We agreed, once we know steel's coming on site and there's maybe a little more in the background, then we'll have a groundbreaking ceremony there, and we're shooting hopefully for August. Does that sound good so far with the project update and where we're heading?
Mhm.
Perfect. Next slide. Greg, I'll let you come up. I'm gonna let Greg kind of discuss the wellness center's requirements and also administration and what the architect of record is suggesting and what those requirements are. So I'll move out of the way.
And, yeah. So, because, we're adding these solar, shade structures, carport structures, we're required to have accessibility requirements. If the solar canopy was out in the field, we would still be required to have a path of travel to that, as well as a concrete pad, under the canopy. Because we're in a parking lot, there's more requirements, so we're required to provide a covered, accessible parking stall. And then because we will be installing the EV chargers, we're required to provide a van accessible stall for those EV chargers. And to those stalls, we need a path of travel. Yes. And so the path of travel is no more than 5% slope in the direction of travel, 2% cross slope. And within the stalls themselves, no more than 2% in any direction. And so at the wellness center, we would be able to build up this area just a little bit, and then the path of travel over to the existing sidewalk.
And then just to add on, and facilities knows this, the rest of the board, you've already heard, those ADA compliant ramps that will be added in from building A to building B, they are fully aware and have seen those essential drawings. So we're making sure that these various paths of travel are connected, right? So you don't have random thing ending here and something else there. Just want to make sure that we tied those pieces together.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you could go to the next slide, I guess, at the district office here.
Cool. Any questions on wellness center?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't.
On the last slide, it kind of shows those ADA compliant paths. And those ones obviously are all straightened out and they're the right slope. Just wondering, what's the slope like gonna be coming off of those? Is it gonna be really pronounced? The spots off of the walk paths?
No,
No.
it should be, we'll regrade a little bit in this area to make it really minimal.
Okay.
I think the only thing that might be a little bit pronounced would be like at the edge of the parking stall where it goes to the other parking stall.
Okay.
It's something architect says they've done commonly, just because these requirements pop up on every solar project. Hasn't seemed to be an issue for customers.
Just quick question, just for general understanding.
Mhm.
What part of the discovery process and the evaluation process did we miss that made this pop up in front of us? I'm always curious about learning from those, or is it a change, or is it just seeing it in 3D really good now and understanding?
So we didn't miss it. Wellness center, and I'm gonna break it down in the financials at more of a high level.
Right.
Wellness center, we put an allowance together to cover not only the construction that we'll be performing, but also a little in there for whatever ADA requirements.
Right.
Here, we knew prior to us coming here, because I wanted to know about why hasn't this parking lot project got across the line? We've kind of discussed in prior, when the parking lot project was talking about some of the ADA requirements at most of the sites. So in the contract itself, we excluded the ADA requirements because of the unknowns and uncertainties.
Gotcha.
Until we were able to get these back. Architectural record, each one has a different interpretation. This,
Okay.
unfortunately, this is theirs. We were great and under budget at Wellness Center. Here is.
I understand. No, that's good. I just always just like kind of know how things built to this point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you're learning there from us.
Yeah, part of it, I mean, the architect, they base their backgrounds and their drawings off the survey. We have an official survey that came in and plots everything out also. Yeah.
Okay,
And off from this specific, the only other unforeseen that could happen, which we've made it already this far through the utilities, so they are aware, they're aware of their meters, they know the system size and what we're trying to do. Would be them coming back and just say, per some new code or fire hazard, we want you to upgrade the system. We believe as a team, we would have heard that a long time ago when we were filling out applications and that process.
Okay.
We do not believe as a company, there should be anything else, unforeseen that would jeopardize the project. Really, then it's our end on making sure what we've, stated we're gonna build, we're gonna build it. And hopefully no force majeure. To be candid and open, ADA unforeseen, we got hit with it here pretty good. We don't see really anything else, and if it did come, it'd be from the utility.
okay, thanks.
Yeah, that was, I think you've answered it, but that was kind of my question, is this is kind of early on in the project, it's a pretty big quote unquote change order, and I just wanted, see if there isn't some assurance you can provide that this is not the first of, a list of things like that are gonna cause this project to be more expensive.
Yeah, no, this is design build, we're sticking to it. It was an exclusion in the agreement because we knew what was already coming, and we didn't know though the interpretation from that architect of record on what they would come back with. Now we knew.
Anything else? Anything from the public? Yeah.
Yes, is this only for exterior work? Is there any interior work being done for ADA compliance?
This is just parking lot, ADA compliance for the parking lots.
Okay.
And it will also meet Calgary code with electric vehicle accessibility as well.
But nothing to.
Nothing interior on this project.
If anybody has any public comments throughout the presentation, just raise your hand and I'll call on you. Go ahead.
Yeah, one thing I could mention, both at the Wellness Center and here at the office, is we did look with Rachel and her team at possible options for the EV chargers and the stalls. It really doesn't make a difference because parking lots are, they have the same slope all the way across. So no matter where we would choose to place the EV chargers, there's going to be some kind of work to make it accessible.
No, that looks like where I normally park right there.
No private parking spaces.
We're gonna have to get carved to bring an extra vehicle.
I have a question if I may. We're doing this and moving forward with our energy supplier as being SDG&E, is that correct?
That's
Okay.
correct.
Is there a chance, if our energy provider have, increased in the area, we have a choice of alternate providers? Are we tied into dealing specifically with SDG&E? Or, all right, for example, say Tesla comes in and goes, whoa, we just had this new way of doing this. And so we can do solar and we can do, this and that and the other thing. And you get a, screaming discount, blah, blah, blah. Are we able to take advantage of that, or are we
If
locked
any
into
of us,
SDG&E?
if any of us are still alive, when SDG&E gets knocked off its pillar,
Yeah.
if they got knocked off their pillar, we would still be able to fit into the grid. So whoever is basically running the grid, which right now it's for our area,
Okay,
SDG&E.
because the idea is to make the building accessible for the community,
Mhm.
to be in compliance with all of the codes so that we don't have any whoopies go along the way. But certainly, we are not, we're very aware of being cost effective because at this point, everything's going up. And I'm just looking at options, that we have the option to renegotiate or opt out as we continue to move forward, because we want to continue with the progress of the development of the building. And we want to kind of navigate the troubled waters without all the boondoggle and red tape and the speed bumps that you're having to deal with the bureaucracy. So appreciate your position. I just wanted to ask that question. And thank you, because I couldn't do it at this stage. I'd be going, are you kidding me?
And let me make a quick comment on that. If there was a community choice aggregation program or some kind of direct access that the agency could take advantage. I believe they will, because you're not already in a form of third-party program. You're gonna be already with San Diego Gas and Electric, so by switching over, we have gotten companies out of their CCAs to switch over to the investor-owned utility, Edison, SDG&E, or even PG&E, to benefit from those programs, so.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Anyway, yeah, I guess we're taking your parking stall with the. This is the exact same requirements here at the administrative office, because we're adding shade structure in the parking lot, we're required a covered accessible stall, and then because we're adding the EV chargers, we're required to have an accessible EV charging stall. The existing accessible stall here would remain. We would increase the size of the access aisle to make that meet the requirements, current requirements.
Yeah, and what Greg's not telling you is the fact that that current ADA space is not currently compliant.
Yeah.
And the walkway, the path of travel is not currently compliant. So even if we had somehow said we aren't going to do this, we would have to address that path of travel. And a big part of the conversation, and Greg and I had a couple of meetings, and Judith and I, and we all sat out here and tried to, move things around. Those few heavy couple ton, 3-ton boulders that are right up front that are lovely, have got to be moved. There's no option. It has to be moved because they're in the walkway. And so that was a large part of what ended up being the cost for this particular change order on this building. So yes, that we've got all these other pieces, but really that path of travel was the most problematic part. So we'll move those boulders. I spoke with actually our roommates, Mission Resource Conservation District, to try and figure out how we could potentially relocate those onto the property, just a different spot over here, so that they don't have to go away. I know it's historical.
Yeah.
But it has to come out of the path of travel.
It was a hospice memorial.
Yeah. Yeah, so whether, we had a brief conversation about potentially they get moved out of the wellness center. We spoke with the engineer, and he says, well, we gotta move them anyway, so we'll just move them here. Yeah, move it there. So there's a better opportunity to be able to relocate them.
Just a quick question. Do we know how changing the configuration is gonna change the amount of parking spots? Are we gonna lose quite a few or no?
We are reducing the number of parking spots, and it is on the drawing. I don't, it's not here on the slide. I could pull that up and get that information to you. Yeah, we are reducing the number of parking.
So just a couple or something?
I think it's 1 or 2.
Okay.
Yeah. I wanna say 1 or 2. I thought it was 2.
I thought it was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yours.
Did you get it pretty tight in there? Like, I don't know if we need to add like a multi-level.
We can help you with that.
Easy down, boy. We do want to recall the fact that there is some street parking, and then because the board meetings, which seem to be the popular meeting today, we can typically park in the medical parking lot below because they are not open during the evenings. So there is lots of additional parking in the area. Bill, we'll see which staff is willing to play dice to who loses. Yeah, you. Wow. That's shenanigans right there. Okay.
Any, is Josh?
There is one more slide, but again, a little more technical detail, and I don't know how well
Yeah, that's,
we'll be able to.
these pink areas, would be the regrading required, in the asphalt area. And then the blue is where the concrete would need to be, leveled and graded to make it accessible.
Excellent.
Any, public comments on any of that? No, anything else from the board?
Nope, makes sense.
Yeah, do you have a recommendation to approve?
Is this a motion? Okay, I would like to move, approval of the, change order 1 for the wellness parking lot and the ADA requirements for illustration.
I'll second that. We're in compliance. We're moving forward in compliance. We'll deal with the costs and the adjustments and the necessary reconfigurations as we move forward.
Yeah.
With the option to go timeout. Let's take a look, but to move forward, this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. I
You wanna get
we
it
have
started?
A lot of options as far
Yeah.
as being ADA compliant, it is what it is, so, yeah.
Director Leach.
Aye.
Director Morales.
Aye.
Director Selman.
Aye.
Director Stanislav.
Aye.
Director Jeffries.
Aye.
Thank you.
And now that that's passed, I'll remind you all that Josh said he'll make sure nothing else happens.
The owl has.
When will, the revisions start to become implemented? I mean, are you going to start, is it right away or in August? Steel and all that.
In August with procurement, we're ready, once these documents get signed, we're ready to submit in our final for 100%. Get that back, from the architect record and then submit that to the county.
Submit to the county for, and actually I was in communication with the county today.
How'd that go?
It was fun.
It, did not actually get good news on their review times right now. But, we'll do they're saying like, 8 to 10 weeks for the first review, 4 to 5 weeks for the second review. They said, make sure you have quality plans. I said, we have very good plans, electrical, structural, architectural, so. Yeah, we'll see how it goes when we go submit.
So that's a 3 to 4 month timeline when you start adding all the weeks together, potentially.
Yeah, I hope not, but that's.
Yeah.
It is, we'll do what we can, yeah.
Yeah, but thank you for your efforts. Yeah, we know what we're up against with the county.
Yeah, and Teresa and Judith and I meet with Greg pretty much weekly, looking at timelines, looking at status, so. We're very well versed on that timeline. He's been working with the project timeline. We'll move that forward. Obviously, that's incredibly relevant to Teresa and the team at the Wellness Center, because when that closes down, obviously, we've got to do programming shifting. So they keep reminding everyone at the Wellness Center, at some point.
Yes.
So obviously, we're trying to firm that up as soon as we can.
Yeah, we'll keep Rachel and the team updated with the schedules and, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot. I appreciate you guys coming out.
Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
And I love your foundation.
Thank you.
Next up, we have item F2 with the reading of the grant agreement between us and North County Fire Protection District. Rachel, do you want to present on that?
Sure. So this actually is the second time you've seen this type of grant agreement. Remember, just as background for everyone in the audience, we signed this agreement originally in 2019 to be a 4-year procurement support to North County Fire so that they would be able to purchase an ambulance each year. That particular grant agreement sunsetted in 2024, this year, at the end of this month. Again, going back to our strategic planning, there was a strong conversation about wanting to continue to support the ambulance program, but knowing that there would be some financial challenges in trying to keep it all budgeted. We shifted away from a 50% cost share, which was always difficult to budget because 50% of an unknown was difficult to budget. So I met with and looked at some of the information from North County Fire, and we identified that close to 50% was that $200,000 mark, which is what was brought forward to the budget program this year with the expectation and the support that we were going to continue this program. This just follows up and updates that grant funding, public funds to public agency of $200,000 per year for up till 2026, so that the board can reevaluate in a 2-year time period instead of a 4-year time period, the ongoing support for that ambulance program. So this grant is essentially the same thing you've seen before. The terms that have been changed was the amount of money instead of 50% is 200,000, and the term instead of 4 years is 2 years. Those are the only real changes.
Any public comments on this item? Seeing none, board member comments or questions?
I appreciate the changes. I think having an amount is important because this comes out of money that is community partnering money. It's just in a different form. So what we allocate to this is a high priority. I also appreciate the 2-year span because I think we have to reevaluate every year because there'll be growing community needs beyond ambulances, and we're gonna have to make those choices. So I appreciate the changes and that North County Fire, had a collegial conversation.
Yeah.
I would just add, I think having a distinct number is good. Then there's no arguments, everybody knows what's happening. And then secondly, the review cycle is good because escalating costs, escalating needs. I think we always have to be reevaluating those and prioritizing those as a whole bucket. So I like it.
There goes.
Yeah, I'm hoping that within the next 2 years, we will have improved our urgent care in this community, which would in fact reduce the need for additional ambulances. So
The buckets.
That's the buckets. Don't leave the bucket, but beware of the bucket.
Yeah, I would just add that, I think that we put in a lot of work with the strategic plan. And when items like this come up that are clearly like part of our strategic plan, it makes it a lot easier to vote on it now. I mean, I think that we know what direction we want to go in, and that partnership being a big priority to us all. So, yeah, I do like the consistent dollar amount. Like you say, it makes it a lot easier to budget and, look forward to continuing that partnership. So I would make a motion to go ahead and approve that grant agreement with North County Fire Protection District with the new terms.
I'll second that.
Any additional comments?
I like the idea that they're dedicated, even though they're, all over the place. In North County Fire, they have our backs here in Fallbrook, Bonsall, Duluth, and Rainbow. And I've lived here 23 years, and thank you, they're our partners, they're looking out for you. And they have a tough road to hoe because the transportation, the accessibility to the freeway, the timeframe. You've got a lot of seniors that automatically call 911 for anything. And we're working with them to hopefully have them have bona fide 911 calls so that people can be more aware of how to address the situation, to do their own self triage and make the community healthier. Because before, the RER here in Fallbrook, when it was there, and God bless that hospital because it saved a lot of people and it was wonderful. And Dr. Skia put his heart and soul in it, and so did all the other doctors. We're without a hospital now. So we have to have a paradigm shift in thinking, and people need to be aware of where their doctors are, their providers, and where they can go. And if we at least have these wonderful relationships with our community partners, we want to be supportive of them because they're certainly supportive of us. So I'm all for it. Thank you.
Director Salmon,
Aye.
Director Morano.
Aye.
Director Leach.
Aye.
Director Standison.
Aye.
Director Jeffrey.
Aye.
Thank you.
Next up, we have F3, consideration of resolution number 463. It's an annual statement of investment policy for fiscal year 2024-25. We have anything from finance?
Glad to see it up to bat. Just by way of information, how important it is for us to stay on top of the investment policy. We're making some really great research right now.
Good.
I mean, it's so great the way we're riding the wave and being aware of medium risk, high gain and not gambling. And so I'm just glad to see this coming back.
This question is directed more at Rachel, in tandem with our financial concerns. And with regard to us being district members, for the special districts. When you have your next meeting, would you be alert or look out for the attorney's perception of how best the districts can put into play best practices to safeguard their finances in the event that something goes?
Well, I'll briefly answer and then obviously I'll take that back to ACHD when we chat with the other,
Because I know there's protocol that we follow.
yeah, the risk pools that our investments are in are highly regulated, highly constrained so that no weird, funky investments can happen to it. So we don't get into an Orange County situation or a City of Bell situation where those safeguards had not been in place.
Yeah.
So it's pretty locked down. There's not a lot of risk in it at all.
Well, if we stop the policy right there, Raquel. Our go-to on this is government code sections 53600. It is laid out there beautifully why we invest in these things and and correct me if I'm wrong, we are governed by that. So.
Yeah, I mean, the safeguard, if I might interrupt, but
Yeah.
the safeguard and the financial committee looks at this every year and updates the investment policy in accordance with the government code. And it mandates, this has been very carefully, this policy that's contained in this government code section is followed by public agencies across the state, and it helps, it is a protection to ensure this is what we're investing in. These are very conservative investment portfolios, and they're very, very risk-free, so that we're not taking the money and putting it in the stock market or doing something that is a little bit more risky, if you will.
And this policy is something that we do annually. There's really no major significant changes. I think the only change and that we've talked about is moving it from having an 18-month reserve to a 12-month reserve. And part of that was the fact that with the COVID pandemic behind us, the first time we really addressed it was during that time. And so we put in a longer reserve policy. After meeting and talking with many other districts, that 18-month was seen as excessive. So we moved it back to 12, which was more standard with some of the different districts.
Thank you for answering my question.
Sure.
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
Wondering if you had a chance to review any of the changes to the policy?
Yes, I looked at it before it came before you.
Looks like it.
And it's absolutely in order.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Public comments? I'll take your motion if you'd like to make it.
I move approval.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none.
Director Jeffrey,
Aye.
Director Stanicek.
Aye.
Director Leach,
Aye.
Director Marat.
Aye.
Director Salmon.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys putting that all together. Looks good. Thank you. Next up, we have, item F4. It looks like, CSDA, elections are coming up again. We've got, Joe McKenzie here. She's, definitely a very active, member. I'm not sure if anybody had a chance to review, her qualifications and statement. Do we have any other candidates, or is it pretty much just, looking to reelect
We just received one additional one for a new member, that sent something in. We didn't have time to get it, prepared for the packet.
Okay,
The election on this, I believe, was the July, but before the next board meeting. The next, person who submitted, that would be their first time sitting on a CSBA seat. Joe has obviously done this for a great many years. So we can table this, not do anything. We can,
yeah, no,
or you can move forward. Yeah.
I would go ahead and make a motion to approve Joe McKenzie for reelection. I think that she's done a great job in the past, and CSDA has a number of resources that are great for us to use. And I did notice that she had highlighted her work in the educational field there, and I think they have a lot of really good webinars and good educational elements. So I would make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Just note for our public that CSDA stands for California Special District Association. And all of the special districts in California
Here's about 51.
are eligible or are members.
Mhm. Thanks for reminding me to spell out the dang acronym. Because otherwise we'll acronym you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Director Songbird,
Aye.
Director Morale,
Aye.
Director Leach,
Aye.
Director Stanisek.
Aye.
Director Jeffrey.
Aye.
Thank you.
Last up here, we have F5, the Youth Fitness Grant Impact Reports from Fallbrook Band Boosters and Fallbrook Bonzo Little League.
Yeah. So I'll briefly talk about this, and then Raquel, I'll invite you to say anything, and I'll put you on the spot if you want to. This was our first year, obviously, to do the youth fitness grants. And so as we're completing it, we asked for 2 different levels of survey. One was from the entity, right, for the band booster, for example, to kind of tell us briefly how it went for them, how it worked. We kept the reporting very simple. It's very clear what they do with it compared to some of the other grant reporting. And then we also sent out a family or participant survey so that we could get some of the voice from the actual participant families to see how worthy, valid, important. And again, of course, that also helps with the district being able to get a little bit of recognition in spreading some of the resources around to that. Anything you want to talk about in your conversations with? Because Raquel's been the primary point person on most of these grants, which is why I'm including her in the conversation.
Oh, I appreciate that. It was just a really nice thing to see that they were just so grateful. And they did so much with the money. Look at that. Please tell us how funding was used. They were amazing. And it was really nice to see the pictures, and they showed the pictures back here. So they were able to buy that floor cover, they were able to buy these red backdrops, they got their little red ties, they got so many things with that money. It was amazing. So it was just nice to see, and reading the impact reports from the baseball players was really nice too. So I encourage you all to read it. And when you have a chance, here's a picture of the Padres. Yeah, this was a co-ed team, so I really love the co-ed team.
Yeah.
It's super nice. And so here's one of the surveys from the participants. Their 8-year-old daughter and their 11-year-old son played co-ed ball, extremely satisfied. All great reviews, positive. And of course, they all regularly share all things that they're interested about, and it's really sweet. Additional help with any and all funding for any child that may be interested in playing baseball with Bonsall Fallbrook Little League. So it's really sweet.
So we have more of these surveys coming in as well. So what we'll do is we'll essentially kind of pull them all down into a singular document, and then we'll post it to the website like we do all the impact reports from the other grants, so that it can be readily visible to anyone.
Awesome. That's
Great.
a good deal.
Well, I want to thank Bill for bringing this idea to the table. And I think it was it a year ago that it came to the?
Yeah, we launched it a year ago, so this is the completion of the first cycle. We remember that we did budget it again this year,
Yeah.
so we will be relaunching the application. I'm pointing to around.
Yeah.
We will be relaunching the application again. We just needed to close out this cycle. And remember, they're on a different cycle timeline than the community health contract.
Yeah. And Bill, you know, you planted the seed and now we got a tree growing here. No, I think it's such a great outreach and you just look at the faces and you know, it's the good thing.
Yeah,
So.
sure.
Yeah, I'd like to just comment, focusing on kids, either physical or mental, is just one of the most important things anybody can do, any community can do, because that'll plant the seeds for stable, productive adults. So,
Yeah. Yeah, good deal. Really happy to see the results and appreciate staff's work on getting some of the data. I think for us to continue to have success with a program like this, it's really critical for us to find good ways to get that data back and those surveys and find out that actual impact. So appreciate it. I think good work on getting some of that back and look forward to continuing to grow it and, you know, get some more data for the next cycle. So.
They're here.
Yeah. Do you want to allow, we have a representative.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
please.
Couple band moms here. Yeah. For band moms. Band moms. Come on up, please. So my name is Angela Leonardo.
I'm Amy Otto. We are both sitting on the board of the Fallbrook Band Boosters. This
Again.
program was exactly what our program needed, at the right time. Our kids are very, very hardworking, very athletic, very, very strong, independent kids. And, just the support to show out and to compete on the level with all the other bands was incredible. And we were able to do that because of you guys. So thank you so much. So we were first time band moms this year, second time band moms this year coming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
first time in the board, so all the previous board members, their children were seniors, so they left and then we were left. What do we
All brand new.
do?
And look how you knocked it out of the park in your first year.
We tried. So we're gonna be sitting on the board again this year.
Yes.
And so we're very grateful, and just like Howard mentioned, we have a great team of not only band parents, but our music director, Mr. Lee, and coaches and just volunteers, and then our children, we call them our children, they're about 100 plus. And they, yes, and they range from everything from the marching band that is during field season, so that's usually from October to July to December, yes. We start band camp in July, so we have probably a couple weeks off. Then we gotta get the rest.
right at it.
So we have marching band, and then we also have concert that goes out throughout the year. And then we also have during winter season, we have the winter color guard and winter drumline. And just recently, in the last, month and a half, our children decided that the jazz band needed to come back because they hadn't had a jazz band for, I believe, 6 years. Yeah, so 8 years. And so the kids, they were done with winter drumline and winter color guard, and they're like, well, we don't want any free time.
Or
Let's-
band. We're putting 40 to 50 additional hours outside of school into band weekly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so they put a little performance for us. They only met four days. And they practice on their own at home. And yeah, so hopefully this upcoming school year, we'll prepare something. Maybe we'll bring the kids, or we'll definitely invite you to watch it. Well, we'll bring
We'll put it at the wellness center where there's more park.
Yeah. I'm sorry?
Activities for 4th of July, will there be?
No, because that's usually their break.
Outside
So outside of school. So we will start back on July 25th for summer band camp.
We do march in the Christmas parade every year. They also at the community center, they do the tree lighting, they play the music there, so they're really involved in the community and. You know, it's awesome to have the support of the community, we like to be back.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, and we keep them, I think they keep themselves very busy, so we appreciate that because, yes, a lot of these children, I don't wanna get to.
Go ahead.
They formed bonds that they elsewhere wouldn't have had.
Yeah.
There are kids that, you know, I've never had a friend before. I've never had anything outside of school before, and now they've got these tight-knit groups that they're doing things on their own independently outside of school, and it's fabulous to see, and I'm getting chills, because
Yeah.
it happens all the time.
All the time, and they hang out even after band. I mean, we're dragging them out of practice sometimes,
Yeah.
after practice, because they just don't wanna leave. But a lot of these children, we'd rather have them with us in practice because they may not have, an adequate, you know, space or safety space at home, so.
Well, thank you for what you.
So we wanted to, we'll make it short, so we wanted to give you guys a little token of appreciation, and we'll start here with Howard.
Actually, if you wouldn't mind,
Come to you.
stand up to my bill, and why don't you all gather?
Let's go behind you.
Get a picture or I'll-
Jazz hands.
The idea that came to life.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming out. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you,
It's,
yes.
Sorry, Bill, we're not advertising your store.
Not today.
Would you like to?
Right here.
All right, you gotta get a lot closer, you got it, yeah. All right, perfect. Okay, and I'll stop taking selfies of myself in a minute, just kidding. Okay, you're all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. It's the universal.
Yes, and we teach our children very well.
Oh, yeah. We do that, we travel with them.
Love it. We love it.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah.
We can thank you so much.
Yeah, you should come to our ground.
Yes, thank you. We were able to purchase the floor for them.
Perfect.
Bible and Bible for the colors on paper.
Yeah, I believe in it. I agree.
And I got to go.
Yeah.
Nice. White. Okay. Next we go to.
Okay, so, next,
I can give you mine.
okay, so we're just gonna move on now, to, item G. It's an informational item. It's just, first review for, excuse me for a second. Let me just keep it down, please.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we're gonna do a draft review of our policy manual. This is obviously something that Rachel's been working on for a number of months, and Jeff, kind of getting through all those, things. Hopefully, everybody had a good opportunity to kind of, read every line of it.
It's 65 pages.
145.
Well, I think it's 140. I thought it was only about 65.
No.
Okay, well,
It's two-sided.
and it's not one of the more extensive ones, so we could get really into the weeds, but I do think, staff has prepared a comprehensive
Oh, yeah.
board policy
Great.
manual. It talks about financial and operational, and incorporates not only the state law, but really, many of the important policies that you've adopted over the years. And so it's a working document in the sense that it will allow the district to periodically update it and either add or modify the policies. And like Bill said, it's before you for informational purposes. And it provides an opportunity for you to review and, will allow you to address any question. We can address any questions or changes. And the plan is to kind of let you take a look at it and then we'll bring it back hopefully in July. We'd like to bring it back in July for approval. And I think should be good to go.
Yeah.
Good.
Excellent.
Any questions or comments off of the first look at it from the board? Anything?
Want to say thank you for going through this and bringing it current because it's been kind of lagging behind for a while. And we've had a lot of stuff on our plate, but this is really wonderful since we're growing so quickly. We're looking out for everybody. So thank you for your efforts on this.
I'm not sure if the public had a chance to take a look, but I'd take any public comments if you haven't. No?
Don't y'all.
Also known as a cure for insomnia.
We'll take the comments in July.
So we'll go ahead and review that, encourage everybody to take a look. There's a lot of good reading in there, so we'll look at that in the next board meeting. We'll finish up with that one. Any other board member comments or items for subsequent meetings? I just had the one comment. We have Director Stanizek, who's gonna be leaving us soon. I just wanted to thank you for your service on.
We're not gonna
the
see you anymore?
I've got, I think I squeezed one more in.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be right on the edge.
So, but just wanted to make sure that we all let you know, we appreciate your
Thank you.
service and, you know, it takes a good amount of sacrifice and hard work to get all the stuff done, but we appreciate you kind of stepping in and learning the job and doing a great job and, you know, I guess I speak for the board and say that we all wish that you have a great time and enjoy your retirement and enjoy the next chapter of your
I
life.
appreciate that. It's been a pleasure working with all of you. It's been fun. Good experience, a lot of fun.
But you still have to be here for July.
I have to be here for July.
We're gonna set aside at least 20 minutes for your
Yeah.
final speech.
Oh, well, I gotta read this thing first, so.
You got a lot of chores and remember the July meeting is where we do the grant
Yes.
check distribution. Probably the most fun meeting you all get to
Absolutely
have,
is.
so.
Tuxedo.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that.
Thank you, appreciate that.
No worries. Okay, so we have a list of, oh. Howard?
Mr. Chairman, I had the pleasure of meeting a lady by the name of KB Gressett, who used to be on this board. And she asked me, what are we doing with respect to maternity care? And I said, I don't think we are. So she may, or when I see her again, might ask her to come and present what she thinks we ought to be doing with maternity care. So,
Well,
That would be-
I'll add to that, Howard. I'd have her, if you could, direct her to me.
and
One of the programs that we've had, actually out at the Health and Wellness Center was a postpartum program specifically to work with a lot of the newest moms.
oh, good.
And I believe there was even dad in one of, at least one of the classes. So, there is some post maternity, if you will.
Yeah, good.
And as far as maternity, we have different OBGYNs in the community that are practicing as well as a birthing center, if I'm not mistaken, they have one. But since the hospital closed, we've had to reestablish where the providers are. But it's not the district's responsibility to provide that, not that we wouldn't want to do everything we could to make the connection to get the care that you need.
Mhm.
It's just like the urgent care and then based on your insurance as well. And I've been in it my entire life. And right now I just want to raise puppies. I was a ward secretary at a hospital at 15 years old. And believe me, I have been HMO. I know the alphabet soup. I know the healthcare industry inside and out. And I can say, we are going to see some exciting things in the future. It is changing before our eyes. Best thing you can do is stay healthy. Think about what your grandparents did to stay healthy and raise their families. You know, wellness, key, eat clean, get good rest, be kind. Take the stress level down, turn the TV off. Take the phone and eliminate it for an hour, just so you have peace of mind to get grounded, because the audio assault that we have all been experiencing for the last 10 years is increasing over and over and over. So we've got a lot of feedback. We want to have good input. That's what we're looking for.
Appreciate that. Alrighty, well, we have number of upcoming events here on the agenda. You're welcome to join us in any of those future events. We'd certainly welcome you out. Other than that, we're gonna break for a minute. We're gonna have a closed session item. Personnel matters pursuant to government code section, all that, CEO's annual evaluation. So go ahead and clear the room. I'll give everybody 5-10 minutes to get a drink, and then we'll come back into closed session.
Right.
Thanks, everybody, for coming out. I
Right.
appreciate it.
I did